Mr. Louis Ng.
Madam, I thank the government for this budget, a recognition of the unprecedented challenges facing our economy. That said, I hope the government can also recognize that the problems sparked by this crisis are not just about money. They're also about time. And on that note, I'm glad our second Minister of Finance, Minister Indrani, is now also the Minister in charge of the National Population and Talent Division. She can give both money and time. Today, I will offer 3 suggestions related to time. My first suggestion is about childcare sick leave. Today, students are still being sent home from school and childcare centres because they exhibit COVID-19 symptoms. This practice started in 2020 and it continues today, more than 15 months later. It is a good policy and I support it. Schools and childcare centres are places with high levels of personal interaction. Keeping symptomatic students at home protect other students and in turn protect their families. But it is also a policy that creates huge challenges for parents. Parents with children under 7 years old only have 6 days of childcare leave a year. Even before the pandemic, parents had told me that it was not enough. It was just enough to cover them for the 6 days when childcare centres close every year. Now they have to take leave even when their young child has only a mild cough or sore throat. They are at their wits' end. Worse still for parents whose youngest child is between 7 and 12 years old. They only have 2 days of childcare leave. Work from home arrangements are not enough. Childcare leave are not enough. Annual leave are not enough. This is not new to the government. This is why it offers childcare sick leave to public servants. And this is why 50% of public servants take up the option of childcare sick leave, even though they might have access to annual leave, childcare leave, and work from home already. What about other Singaporeans? What about those whose job do not allow them to work from home? What about our frontline workers and essential workers who put their lives at risk for all of us? I've spoken to teachers at childcare centres. They describe how some parents plead and beg them to simply keep the child at the sick bay. The parents say, quote, "I cannot take another day off work. I really cannot," unquote. The answer from the childcare centre is of course a no, but parents are desperate. What hasn't been emphasised enough is the public health role that parents play. By taking time off to care for their symptomatic children, they keep all of us safe. Just as we should not take our essential workers for granted, we should not take parents for granted as well. 15 months of sending symptomatic students home, of intermittent school closures, of on and off home-based learning. Parents need childcare sick leave to fulfill their public and moral healthcare responsibilities. The government needs to legislate for this urgently. Let me stress that this is not leave to run errands or go for a break. I'm calling for childcare sick leave which is backed by an MC, which is issued by a doctor. My second suggestion is about parent care leave. We must legislate to provide our people with parent care leave. It's not just the young ones who need our care. It's also the old folks, those confronting the harsh tides of ill health, unfamiliar technologies, and lonely spaces. These folks, having lived through the racial riots, the oil crisis, the Asian financial crisis, and SARS, now face COVID, possibly the greatest challenge our nation has yet faced. For many, it is the straw that has broken the camel's back. Last year, suicides rose to its highest level in 10 years. The highest spike was seen among the elderly, with 154 elderly suicides, the highest in 30 years. So, I remember bringing my late father for his medical appointments, and I know firsthand how confusing it can be at times when we were navigating the hospital, going from department to department. This was the pre-COVID days. Things have gotten much harder for our lonesome elderly folks. To attend a medical appointment, they have to fumble with Trace Together and with Safe Entry, processes that may make no intuitive sense to them. The buildings they have to pass through may have half its entrances and exits mysteriously locked. The friendly faces on the streets whom they once asked for help are now covered by masks. It is an alien world for many of our elderly. How we help our older citizens is not a straightforward question to answer, but we know with certainty that they need care and support. For those lucky enough to have family members who love them, we must unblock this channel of care. We must offer working adults parent care leave. The government already knows parent care leave is important. That's why we offer it to our public servants. That is why public servants do take out such leave. But we need to extend this to the rest of working adults. Not all of us choose to bear children, but all of us were born from parents. For those lucky enough to still have their parents around, we need to give them the opportunity to care for them, particularly in this time of medical and social emergency. We need to legislate for parent care leave urgently. Madam, my third and final point today is about our migrant workers. In the resilience budget, the fortitude budgets, and the various other supplementary budgets, we've done a great deal to support Singaporeans, and I thank the government for that. Out of sight and out of mind for many are our migrant workers. For much of the past 15 months, migrant workers in our dorms have been confined within their dorms. For many workers, the only places they have been are literally just two places: the dorms and their work site. Some can apply for leave to leave their dorms, but I understand it is not for everyone, and it's only for 3 hours. 3 hours out of the 168 hours a week out of their dorms or work site. We Singaporeans complain about the restrictions on dining in, about how we can't squeeze our friends into a table of 5 or a table of 2. These are fair complaints, but the problem we face is for many migrant workers a distant fantasy. They have not gotten to go shopping, they have not had the chance to meet their friends, they have not had the chance to walk free like human beings. Their basic human needs of socialization, of entertainment, of physical freedom have not been met. And remember, they too are worried about their loved ones back home during this pandemic, loved ones they have not seen for many years. I have heard heartening stories of volunteer groups that organize small group outings for migrant workers on Hippo buses with strict safe management measures in place. These ad hoc outings provide this small group of workers brief respite. Such volunteer efforts, important as they are only temporary relief for a very small group of migrant workers. What is the government's plan to let our migrant workers out of their dorms? Some migrant workers even live in dorms without recreation centres. In the short term, can we at least establish regional recreation centres, open up spaces such as old schools and open fields to let small batches of migrant workers hang out? In the long term, can we have a concrete timeline and plans to lift movement restrictions on our migrant workers? In particular, what is the plan for fully vaccinated workers when we reopen in phase 3? These are workers who are also tested for COVID regularly and live and work under strict safe management measures. As with everything we do, there are risks involved. But we can have various measures to mitigate the risks of these plans. We can do things in batches, in phases. It's not all or nothing. I remember at the start of our circuit breaker, many members of this House, as well as the government, spoke with heartfelt appreciation for the sacrifices of our migrant workers. But as our voices have wound down, our migrant workers' restrictions have not. They continue to suffer, and especially suffer mentally. We need to take concrete action in the short term and make concrete plans in the long term to ensure our migrant friends can meet their human needs of socialization and physical freedom. Madam, it's the right thing to do. Madam, in conclusion, I stand in support of the new budget measures. At the same time, I hope we will support those suffering by offering them something other than money. We need to give childcare sick leave and parent care leave to our working adults. We need to offer safe, calibrated ways for our fully vaccinated migrant workers to meet, socialize, and unwind under strict safe management measures. Time and physical freedom are things the government has the power to offer, and I hope we take urgent, concrete steps to offer them. Thank you.